Hello, I'm Dr. Tatiana, and today we have with us Dr. Malachi. He is a doctor of chiropractic who specializes in nutrition, especially adrenal fatigue. For today, would you just mind starting us off with where the adrenal glands are located, what they do, and why they're so important for the body?
Yeah, Dr. Tatiana, thanks for having me, and thank you guys for having me as well. So I'll pull up a figure now just to get us started on what the adrenal glands are, and we'll go from there, talking about adrenal fatigue and everything that has to follow. So the adrenal glands are located on top of the kidneys here, as you can see, and the adrenal glands are responsible for making a lot of different hormones in your body, which play vital roles. So like estrogen, testosterone, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and then cortisol, which is going to be the main hormone that we're going to be talking about in relation to adrenal fatigue today. So when we talk about cortisol specifically its production, we have to talk about the HPA axis. So the HPA axis is basically your primary hormonal regulation system in your body. So once your body receives information that it perceives as a stress, so any stressor, it's going to initiate this system that's going to release cortisol, and that is a negative feedback loop. So once your adrenal gland makes this cortisol and it circulates through your body, it's going to go back to this area and shut down this cascade so you're not producing cortisol. But what we see in people with adrenal fatigue is this system is just constantly going, or there's issues in that system.
Thank you for explaining that. So I know that cortisol is supposed to be released during specific times of the day. For instance, it's supposed to be higher during some times and lower during other times. Can you walk us through what that rhythm of cortisol should look like?
Yeah. So cortisol rhythm is usually higher during the day or during the morning when you wake up. And then it's going to taper off around lunch to mid-afternoon. That's whenever we get that sort of crash that we see with a lot of people, like right after lunch or like mid-afternoon. But in people with adrenal fatigue, we see this sort of flattened cortisol rhythm, and that's going to have them fatigued all day because they're constantly producing that cortisol response, and basically everything is giving out from being that fight or flight response the whole time.
So, with people who are experiencing adrenal fatigue, what are the effects of that on their body compared to what they should be?
So I like this. So just to go back to what cortisol does, we talked about it's like the fight or flight hormone in your body. So it's a sympathetic mode. So it's gonna have you give you a lot of alertness, increase blood glucose, metabolism, cardiac output, which sounds like good things because they're good during the moment when you need them. But if you're constantly in that mode you see here, it decreases your immune system, decreases your immune response, decreases bone formation. So these are negative things that can happen if it's constantly in that mode. So here's some things you can look out for to think if you're like dealing with adrenal fatigue. So weight gain, especially around the abdomen or stomach, is going to be associated with adrenal fatigue, puffy, flushed face, mood swings, increased anxiety. And then a lot of things I see with my patients is this fatigue and poor sleep. That's what's going to bring you to the doctors. Your primary symptom is that just chronic fatigue that you can't figure out what's causing it.
So, if a patient presents with adrenal fatigue in your office, how would you explain to them what this is?
Yeah, so I like the analogy of using cortisol as a currency, so like as your bank account. So you start in a healthy person, you start off the day with that cortisol, and any stresses you have through the day will sort of take money out of your bank account that it needs. But if you have adrenal fatigue, you're basically starting the day with either like a low amount of money or no money. So you're trying to grab currency that isn't there. So that's whenever you get into that uh, super stressed out response that you can't get out of, and that leads to the fatigue that we see with a lot of adrenal fatigue patients.
That analogy that you used. I have many patients who come in complaining of this, and from a chiropractic perspective, what is something that you can do to help lower those cortisol levels?
Yeah, so we look at how we can activate that parasympathetic part of the nervous system. So your autonomic nervous system has two parts. So you have the parasympathetic, which is like your rest and digest, and then your sympathetic, which is your fight or flight. So that's what we're talking about in relation to cortisol, high cortisol, and adrenal fatigue. To initiate that parasympathetic response, we would adjust like upper cervical or sacral subluxations, and that initiates your body to go into that rest and digest and get out of that fight or flight mode.
If a patient wants to do something else to lower their cortisol at home and not in the office, is there any recommendations that you would have for that?
Yeah, so just lifestyle modifications is going to go a long way. So just identifying stressors and removing those is going to be the biggest impact. Low impact, low intensity exercise is going to do really good things as well. Getting your diet right. And then supplement wise, I like to recommend to my patients some adaptogens. So I want to pull up a research article here because I feel like it's good to see if you're taking something, it's science backed. So we have here they looked at ashwagandha root in reducing stress and anxiety in adults. And what they found was that it decreased serum cortisol levels. That's a supplement that you can take to reduce cortisol in your body and sort of mitigate that adrenal fatigue. Rhodiola is another adaptogen I like. And then just mineral wise, magnesium glycinate is really good. You can sort of pace that out through the day or just take it at night to help you sleep, get out of that um, that flattened cortisol rhythm. B vitamins, make sure you have adequate B vitamins is also good for all your hormones. So
Thank you for coming here and explaining that for us. And the chiropractors who are watching, here are some steps that you can take to help patients lower their cortisol and help them with adrenal fatigue when they come to your office.
yeah, and just viewers, if you're not a provider, if you're wanting to learn more about adrenal fatigue, don't think of this as a diagnosis in like a bad way. It's just something you need to learn about yourself, so you're not stuck in that. Because our adrenal system is not working against us; it's working for us. So you don't want to think of like trying to shut that down because the sympathetic nervous system is helping you out. So you want to just have a healthy balance between that sympathetic and parasympathetic response. Thank you guys.
Thank you.